Is asking for links still acceptable? Have you participated in PDF SEO? And does the standard click-through rate model still work? All that and more in This Week in Organic, episode number 7.
This week's in Organic. Live from London on thisweekinorganic.com.
Broadcasting live from London, welcome to This Week in Organic, the weekly show that debates the ramifications of the latest SEO and content marketing news. Sign up to watch the next show live at thisweekinorganic.com. Hello and welcome. I'm David Bain. Each week I'll be joined by some knowledgeable, opinionated folks to discuss the latest happenings in anything that impacts organic traffic. And as for you, dear viewer, get involved. We'd love to hear your opinion too. So just use the hashtag TWIO on Twitter. That's TWIO. And if you're watching live, your thoughts will magically appear in the chat box to my right-hand side. So let's find out more about today's guests, where they're from, and what's caught their attention this week. So starting off with Pam.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Pam Ungst of Pam and Marketing, all the way from New Jersey, and I am the owner of Pam and Marketing. We do a lot of SEO for small businesses here in the States, and I was most interested by the click-through rate article. Frank Kelly from your company did a very interesting study, and look forward to discussing that.
Yeah, great stuff. And also joining us today is Alan.
Hey, David, what's going on? My name is Alan Morty. I am the Analytics Director at 3 Ventures Technology. 3 Ventures is a digital marketing agency. And second time on the show, so thank you for having me.
The first two timers.
I'm also interested in the click-through rates article by Frank. I thought that was a pretty good one. In addition to, I think that the indexing of more Twitter content is a one to talk about. I also think the Meerkat versus Periscope, deal is one to talk about. I don't think it's anything in relation to SEO. I think it's more into data, but I think that all 3 of those are fairly interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, and also I'm not sure if we can call them two-timer, but the first 2 people together participating here in This Week in Organic, Gareth and Richard.
Breaking boundaries. Hello everyone, my name's Gareth. I'm the founder of a digital agency called Liberty. We've been going for 7 years and we do a mixture of SEO, content marketing, social media and pay-per-click. I'm looking forward to talking about
Okay, we seem to have lost Gareth and Richard there a little bit, so that was interesting. Or maybe they weren't going to say something so interesting. I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll be back in a second there. So that's all the fun of live broadcasting. But Alan and Pam, you can still hear me, can't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's
very good.
Good stuff. Okay, I'm seeing Gareth and Richard bounce back in there again. Guys,
how much of that did you get?
We got about.
None of it.
Tell you what, why don't you start from the beginning?
Okay, I mean, we spend a ridiculous amount of money on internet in this building, so this is a bit annoying. My name's Gareth. I'm the founder of a digital agency called Liberty. So to keep it quick, we for 7 years have done a mixture of SEO, PPC, content marketing, and social media. I'm looking forward to talking about the link building topic and sort of staying on the right side of Google's webmaster guidelines. I think that's an important thing to discuss.
I'm Richard Folks, so I'm one of the digital marketing consultants here. The one that interests me the most is the Meerkat and Periscope one. I'm quite into social media, so that's quite an interesting one.
Great stuff. Okay, well, moving on to the first topic, and that's Google have updated a blog post that initially said, do not buy, sell, exchange, or ask for links, to do not buy, sell, or ask for links that may violate our linking webmaster guidelines. So subtle change, but big change there. Does this mean that asking for links can still be acceptable? So, ladies first, Pam, what do you think of that one there?
Well, lots of thoughts on the semantics of that. I was quite amused by the change in how you say you can't do it, period, and then you can't buy, sell, or ask for if it doesn't. So are they saying you can buy and sell and ask for? This the semantic, the grammar of the sentence in the revision kind of amused me. But I think I do just think it's a matter of semantics because they obviously don't want you to try to acquire a link ever in any way, shape, or form. They want it to be all natural. So I suppose if it meets the guidelines, meaning it's not, it's tagged as no follow, it's not reciprocal, it wasn't, intended to pass page rank, I guess they don't care if you buy, sell, or ask for it then. I don't know. I just think the whole thing was a matter of semantics. Somebody, made a big deal of it because of the way it was worded, and so they reworded it, and when it comes down to it, they don't want you, I think they don't want you doing any of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, do you ask for links ever?
I plead the fifth. And I would have to tell you, but for the most part, I think that, one, Google made that change. It's more semantic, and first of all, Google's documentation is never like, sometimes I think junior level people write it. I've found numerous errors and issues. But for the most part, I think what Google realizes is there are actual quality benefits to doing that sort of outreach and link building, whether it's broken link building, whether it's finding resource pages for products, those types of things. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be spamming, or if you're going to use it for a malicious intent or your black hack related techniques, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to get hammered. But I think what Google's realized is, this is an important part of the marketing ecosystem, and building links is not something that's going away. And so if it's done right, Google's going to accept it, and so it's by their webmaster guidelines. So I thought was really interesting. It's just that they said, hey, it's qualifier. It's got to meet our webmaster guidelines. So does that mean that you can sell links as long as it meets their webmaster guidelines? So that's interesting in my mind. But for the most part, I know some pretty good link builders, and they do a really good job, and they're not black hat or anything else. They follow, they follow the Google Webmaster guidelines, and so. I have mixed opinions about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Google have changed their opinion a few years a little bit. They've changed their algorithm, the way that certain percentages of certain things impact rankings, but links are still a significant part of it. They've tried to move away from that. They've tried at times to introduce elements like social mentions or social links into their algorithm, but at the end of the day, those things can be manipulated probably even more than links as well. So it always seems as if they're trying new things, but links are still the core element when it comes to them determining initially whether or not a website is worthwhile and authoritative in a particular industry. Gareth and Richard, I saw you giving a tour of your offices there, so thanks for that.
Yeah, we're hunting down the strongest signal right now because for whatever reason this keeps freezing on us. So we didn't get any of Alan's response then, sorry.
Okay, well, it wasn't interesting, don't worry about it. No. Joking. Well, I hope that everyone can hear you. I'm sure they can, because I'm having to just click on your window to show you rather than actually go directly to you by Google Hangouts recognizing your audio signal. But I think we're okay here. But in terms of yourselves and links, obviously it's a challenging subject because links are still important, but Google want you to just acquire natural links. They've changed the phraseology here as well. Does this impact your opinion on what's happening in link building at all, or has it just stayed the same?
No, I mean, I think I mean, me personally, I've got quite a fairly unique view on this because I first started off in SEO. Got the best part of 15 years ago, and back then there was no such thing as black hat. Really, there was no such thing as a link farm didn't exist yet, and you didn't do blog comment spam because there were barely any blogs. So back then it was kind of taking real world marketing, doing PR, creating good content. That was how you did it. And I think a lot of these black hat spammy techniques were developed over the years. A lot of it came from the affiliate world. And then over sort of the last, I don't know, between 8 and 5 years ago, that stuff started becoming mainstream. We've never really gone down that route. So for us, it's kind of business as usual. But it's interesting to see the effect that these links have on the industry, and interesting to see, you know, some of the link profiles that we get brought our way, some of the rubbish that's in there. So we're well in line with Google, where we're sort of in their corner when it comes to trying to clean this up. But I think in reality, so long as links are a ranking factor, people are going to do everything they can to get those links. It's a weird situation. It's kind of unique in the business world. I don't know of any other form of marketing or anything where you've got these kinds of issues where it's kind of like, don't do things, but if you do them, it's probably going to work in your benefit.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about cleaning things up there, because Richard, do you find that the majority of your focus would be on cleaning things up?
It's gone again.
Okay, well, Pam, you can still hear me, can't you?
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, well, Pam, do you spend much time on looking at a client's whole backlink profile to see you know, where they are in terms of historical links, or is that not something that you really focus on yourself?
Sorry, sorry, we're cutting in and out. Sorry, carry on.
Is it my turn? I don't know. Okay, thank you. Yes, it's one of the first things that we look at, because we deal with a lot of businesses who are pretty serious about their online marketing. So they're not just starting out. They're not mom and pops that have a brand new website and they've never done anything before. They've been down that road before. They've probably had an SEO company or consultant or person or several of them before, and they've come to us after not having had success, or having had success and lost success. So it's one of the first things that we look at, because it could be what's hurting them at the moment, or there could be things in there that we would want to proactively clean up so that it doesn't hurt them once we start doing everything that we're doing. We want to make sure that's not going to come back to bite them. So it is one of the first things that we look at and try to do some proactive cleanup on, even if they're not having an issue.
Right, okay. Well, I've been talking about loads of spammy links that are all over the place. Sophos have uncovered that there are hundreds and thousands of fake PDFs that rank in Google, and these PDFs actually redirect to other web pages. And the PDFs are, of course, the things that search engines see, but users don't. And they also include a link wheel, so lots of dodgy stuff going on there. Are getting PDFs ranked in search results part of anyone's organic traffic strategy at the moment? Richard and Gareth, can you chime in on that one, maybe?
I don't think, unless a client's already got PDFs, we've never advised the client to go down the PDF route. I think the main reason over the years has been due to usability. So it's only fairly recently that most mobile devices and things like iPads can open up PDFs successfully. So we've kind of always stayed away from them. But I'm not sure if these days, if it's becoming more of a mainstream strategy. It's something that sort of eluded us to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the industry as well, and whether or not a PDF is likely to be a relevant result to that particular industry.
Yeah.
Is that something you've done at all, Alan?
You know, we had a very large client that did a large amount of PDFs. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, that's more really like a brand piece. It's still, you don't really ever get them to the website, you know, because it's informative content, and it's not like something where you can get them into a funnel, or if you do, it's usually a link somewhere, you know, throughout the PDF. So I mean, it's just really tough. Like, you know, like what was already previously said, the usability factor of it, there's nothing we could track and measure. And at the end of the day, you know, really the device that matters, the mobile and, you know, tablet devices, that first point of contact. You know, they wasn't until recently that they supported PDF, so it hasn't been something of substance for us.
Right. Okay. I mean, I guess there's two parts to consider here. You know, one is, I guess the majority of PDFs used by marketers online are probably used as some kind of opt-in page, and then they've got the PDF behind that. So perhaps there could be an opportunity there to actually build a subtle link towards that PDF and rank it and use it as an extra opportunity to rank in Google. But obviously the second part of this is that it's a bit sad that Google are still having significant challenges with cloaked links, you know, cloaked pages, because they're obviously seeing one thing and users are seeing another thing, and it's just incredible that 15, 17 years on, Google are still having so many issues with that. I mean, Alan, can you see there being any improvement in Google search results at all on these kind of links?
Well, Google's always, a little bit reactive and sometimes proactive with search. They're the leader in machine learning. I've said that many times before. So if we look at this from a machine learning perspective, I mean, if you have one PDF that's basically sending out to multiple different URLs, that's going to be really hard to catch in an algorithm. So I haven't read the post, but you said that it was circular, where it could send out to multiple pages via the programming from the PDF. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think there are. These are automatically generated PDFs with similar content on it, but also the fact that it's actually built as a link wheel. So you've got links within PDFs pointing to other probably PDF documents as well. I would think, and so they're using it, as some form of link pyramid.
Gotcha. No. I thought you were talking about something a little bit different.
Well, I mean, it's also it's cloaking as well, in that the search engines are seeing the PDFs, but the user is being immediately redirected to another web page.
Yeah, I think it's something that they'll pick up on if this goes a little bit mainstream. And it gets into the search engine journal, search engine land, and it just becomes a little bit more popular. I mean, you're basically the world's search engine, long story short, or at least the leader for now. You can't tackle everything, and I've just come to realize that you're going to have two routes. You're going to have the people who are ethical, and you're going to have the people who are not ethical. And at the end of the day, I know what side I'm on. I'm going to be on the ethical side, and sure the unethical side has made a lot of money. For the last 15 years, I'm not going to lie. I know some black hats that have made a fair amount of money, but we like to have a little bit of a moral compass, and so with things like that, you just you kind of hope Google fixes them. I don't have too much of an opinion on it, David, to be frank.
Yeah, no, I mean,
we're not too much into the PDFs.
You know yourself what's right, really. It's still a newish industry. I mean, I remember over 10 years ago, easily ranking different web pages by reciprocal linking and getting links from other sites that were nothing to do with the pages that I had ranking. And you knew that wasn't really a good user experience, but it worked, and it brought in money for you or your clients at the time. So it kind of was the thing to do at the time. But it's, Google are going in the right direction, and broadly they're delivering high quality content, but it's just frustrating when they're not able to do that, and you feel that there are other websites ranking before you that perhaps don't offer that good value to users. But Pam, have you got any thoughts on this particular matter?
We don't focus on PDFs when it comes to SEO because of usability, really. I mean, like and it used to be that we weren't really sure how well Google could understand them, but with the focus on mobile usability now, it's just kind of irrelevant whether they fully understand the content in the PDFs or not. We're not going to rely on that because it's not good for mobile users to be presenting content in that format. So kind of off our radar, but not surprised at all that people have found a way to use them to, manipulate things, because that's what our industry does.
Yeah, I know, it's unfortunate, but I mean, hopefully it's not going to be forever. The company that reported it to Google seemed to think that PDFs, some PDFs were given some kind of additional level of perceived authority in Google's algorithm. Hopefully that's not the case, or if it is the case, it will be downgraded slightly. But I'm sure this particular situation will resolve itself fairly quickly with some kind of manual action. But I mean, let's move on to our next subject, and that's Frank Kelly, Analytics SEO's data scientist, has been looking at previous click-through rate studies and found that click-through rates vary significantly depending upon size and authority of the website, also brand and length of the keyword phrase. So with so many different variables involved, does assuming a standard SERP click-through rate still work? Gareth and Richard, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think click-through rate's going to differ a lot, not just on brand and on authority and the keywords used, but also on the intent behind the keywords. If someone's on a mobile device and they're doing searches for something within a few miles radius of where they are, they're going to click on a map result. So even if you're you're a highly prominent pay-per-click advertiser, or you're the #1 normal organic result, you're probably not going to get much traffic through. But I also think is if people are searching for really commercial terms, if someone's done their research and they've already clicked on organic results, and now maybe they're looking for a specific product to purchase, they're far more likely to click on an ad than they are on an organic result. So I think this a big thing to bear in mind is intent, sort of where that person is on the buying journey, where they are physically, the device they're using. All of these things have an influence. That's not to say I've got any advice right now on how the hell you measure that stuff. I'm just pointing out more problems for you all to figure out.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's what we're doing here. Obviously, historically, like everyone else, we've used a fairly standard click-through rate in the model, but it's certainly becoming apparent with so many different devices out there and ways that searches are made and search results are delivered, that there's not necessarily a standard way of doing it, and you've got to have a very clever adaptive model now to actually hopefully give you a better quality information, because if you just rely on a standard model, then the quality of your data is really going to be quite poor indeed. Alan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Click-through rate is to me, it's kind of a BS metric. At the end of the day, it has really not. I mean, it's a metric that people care about, but I tend to look more at the business impact of things. Obviously, Gareth brought up a great point. Like, it's going to vary by device. It's going to vary by the brand, whether or not the recognition you have. It's going to vary by the search intent or the prefix of the keyword. I mean, there are multiple silos of keywords, from research to product comparison, and then actual purchase behavior related keywords. So obviously the click-through rate's gonna change across all of those, and then across all devices. I mean, I think that Frank did a really good job there. I think that this will continue to evolve. But being an analytics guy, I'm more concerned about hey, more leads, more sales, more money for our clients. And at the end of the day, that's the metric that really matters.
Right, okay. Pam, do you actually actively look at click-through rates and try to apply models, or do you just focus on traffic and ROI for your clients?
Mostly just traffic and ROI, although I'm fascinated by any data study. The word data scientist gets me excited by itself. I'm no expert myself in statistics, but I'm fascinated by them. So I found myself digging into this study more so just fascinated by the study itself. And I was looking at, what you considered to, or what he considered to be a large site. It seemed to be based upon the number of keywords that the site was ranking for, as opposed to the size of the site and the number of pages, which made me wonder if that was a factor. And then I started to think about I was reading on Bill Slawski's blog recently about one of the quality score patents and how that determines, what's a quality site and how a quality site gets favored, and how that could have a circular effect on if it's considered, a quality site is going to get higher rankings, going to get more rankings to be considered a larger site, and then how, so I was thinking it would be nice to see the data split up into different categories based on that, but then there's 250 other different factors ways you can slice and dice it, whether there was for certain queries, what kind of results come up, whether there's a local pack, whether there's carousel or an answer box, and my mind went down the rabbit hole of all of this being just simply fascinating and confusing, and in a way, each study like this is helpful, and in a way it's not, because you can do the what ifs until, you can just keep going with what if this and that, and if this applies and that applies and that applies, it just changes everything. So we don't do exact estimates on, okay, so this keyword has this amount of search volume, and if we get you in position 1, we know that position 1 has a click-through rate between this and that. We don't really go there because it is, not so straightforward anymore. But we do talk in general, what all these studies show is that the higher you are, the more click-throughs you're going to get, and the more traffic you're going to get. So we're going to do our best to get you up there somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what you mentioned about quality sites was very interesting. The fact that if you search for a generic phrase, but you recognize the brand within the SERP, you're a lot more likely to click through. And so that's, the bigger you get as a site, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more customers you actually end up getting because people recognize your brand. So I guess it's a little bit scary for websites starting up. You've got to try and get as big as possible or as recognized as possible within your industry. So maybe there's a lesson there to actually focus on a particular niche and get really recognized within that, and then build your company out further from that. What about you, Gareth and Richard? Are you excited by the phrase data scientist?
Because there's one on the call, yes. Yes, I'm.
So okay, but I mean, this particular click-through rate study, obviously, it was interesting. It's probably shows a little bit of a changing in the guard between being able to predict what's going to happen and a desktop-based historical use of the internet to just moving on to just multiple devices and multiple ways of doing things, really, as well, and really having to I guess relying on big data and platforms to deliver the quality of information that you need. I mean, as SEOs, do you still want to use tools like Excel and just drill down into information yourself, or do you tend to just rely on third-party tools to provide what you're looking for now?
Is it up for anyone to answer? I'll start.
Go ahead, Pam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I love tools, and the more that the tool can do the analysis for me, the better. Which, I do. We use Analytics SEO, and big fan of a lot of the reports in there. But like I was saying before, there's so many different factors, and in a certain case, I might be curious about how one factor is affecting another, and if that one factor is not part of the tool report that we're using, then yeah, we're going to push it out to Excel and slice and dice and put pieces together there. So I guess I would say, like, for investigating a particular thing that we're curious about and trying to figure out, yeah, we'll take it out to Excel and do our own.
Alan, you were going to jump in there and say something, weren't you?
Yes, I mean, I'm a data guy at heart. If platforms can, my answer is alike to Pam's. If platforms can do it, I'm going to use the platforms. I have access to a lot of development power, so typically I'm getting systems integrated and pulling those into custom solutions that we build in-house, do a lot of work inside of Excel. I mean, if we're doing anything major, you can use things like Tableau, any sort of visualization software, but for the most part, I don't ever think that there's going to be a one standoff platform to do everything. The business needs vary so much by the client. Realistically speaking, I mean, we have a client that's so heavily brand based, they don't care about SEO. I mean, that's just how that's how they roll. So you can't recreate the wheel there. But for clients that aren't these huge brands, who rely heavily upon search and have really good search, you're dang right. We're using platforms in Excel as needed.
Okay, we've got a few people tweeting live there as well. A nice tweet from Idea21 saying we're watching TWIO, really good guys, and also saying Nigel T. Tacker, you should watch this, Nigel, apparently. So it's good that you're trying to pull other people into it. Now, I'm getting a little of echo here from someone. I'm just trying to figure out who it is. Is there an echo coming from anyone?
No.
Okay. It seems to have disappeared, I think. So that's great. Okay, but anyway, coming up, we're going to be talking about Google's indexing of tweets, why telling Twitter your birthday matters, and Meerkat's got a new friend.
You're listening to This Week in Organic, live from London, on thisweekinorganic.com.
But first of all, we've got to...
Hey guys, so the video call ended because Pam, are you there?
I am, I think.
We are too. Everything's gone.
your followers to join in. So thank you so much for the shares. And if you want to mention next week, you know what to do. But moving on to the next topic, which is back in February, Google was indexing around 0.6% of tweets, and a study by Stone Temple shows that they're now indexing 3.4% of tweets. So that's a 466% increase. So is Google selling being indexed in its organic search results? Alan, you look like you're dying to dive in on that one there.
First of all, I love Mark Traphagen and Eric Inga. You know, I always see them at conferences. You know, they're good guys. They got a lot of interesting stuff over there at Stone Temple. Twitter's a public company. Google's a public company. Twitter has issues with getting users, getting traffic to the site, those types of things. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Will we ever know? No. I mean, they're more secret than Apple on these types of things. But the reality is look, either A, Google didn't have enough data to determine whether or not Twitter results were relevant, or B, they drastically increased the amount of time that people either spend on Google or reduce the amount of searches or like searches that people perform when clicking on a Twitter result. So, one of the two ways, it's either working. So that's my take on it.
Pam, if you had a swag bag of $1 billion and gave it to Google, do you think you could I'm trying to find the right words here myself, actually, like Alan, just say things very deliberately and definitively. Do you think you could influence their decision as to whether or not they wanted to increase the quantity of pages on your site that it indexed in its search result by over 400%?
It's a very interesting and unexpected question. I don't know. I'm always confused by what it is that motivates Google. You know, sometimes it does seem to be financially driven, and other times they just seem to have motivations that I don't understand at all. So I really don't know how to answer that.
Oh, absolutely. What about Gareth and Richards? Can I give you $1 billion? Or maybe they're not hearing me.
Okay, are you talking about sorry?
Yes, absolutely.
I've got no idea what's going on with this. It just keeps going.
He wants to give you $1 billion, Gareth.
Yeah.
So obviously, in terms of topic, we're focusing on whether or not Google's search results were influenced naturally or perhaps by Twitter's deal with Google to actually get it a little bit more influence and I guess shares within its search results. So it seemed like a fairly significant increase in the quantity of tweets that were indexed within Google. So what's your thoughts on that one there?
I think because of the way that we digest information so quickly, a lot of people, especially the younger generation these days, to find out anything new, rather than go to Google, a lot of them actually go to Twitter and find out what's trending, what news events have happened. You know, if you take certain things that happen in the world these days, people just go to Twitter to find out what's happened as opposed to going to Google. So I think there could be a little bit of crossover in the fact that Google's cutting down to that. Twitter's also cutting down to the fact they need to drive people to their site a lot more. And it's a bit of both that they've thought, well, there's an opportunity here to win both ends. Indexing tweets is then the way of people finding this information. And obviously then people that have to go straight to Twitter and find out what's trending. They can sort of do a bit of both. That's personally my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the line between organic and paid search is getting ever more blurred, and it may well do in the future. But I remember back in about 2010, I think it was, Google brought out their caffeine update because at the time, obviously, their focus was on old authoritative web pages that had a significant quantity of links, and Twitter were really making inroads into Google search then, because they were delivering the relevant, up-to-date news then, and it's interesting that they're getting into bed with Google now to actually both deliver the same thing. Alan, can you see the lines between paid search and organic search blurring over time?
Yes, but before I get into that one, I have one thing to add on to the Twitter piece. Twitter has a terrible search feature. We talked about this last time we were on. Maybe Google's seen something like, wow, people actually search for tweets, whether it's media outlets, publishers, etc., and we can find people's tweets. And there's people who are actually spending more time on Google, and so that could also be a side effect. Moving forward, I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. Google is an advertising company with a search engine, not a search engine company with an advertising platform. Okay, so do things, do things change? Yes. Do people hate change? Yes. Do PPC and organic merge? Hell no. But do they get really close? Probably. Why? Because just like all these, people who have these large publishing sites are working with these companies that are multivariate testing their site and doing a lot of placements with their display or their native ads, to get them more money. I mean, Google basically has the same concept in mind. I don't think they'll be as aggressive, but I definitely think that that's a reality in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's also down to the users as well, because Google have got to continue to deliver a good, trustworthy resource to people using its service. And if people don't use it, hopefully Bing, Yahoo, or DuckDuckGo, whoever, will continue to challenge them and deliver decent results themselves. And maybe if Google merge advertising and organic search a little bit too closely, then perhaps users might slowly drift away, but I guess that's not likely to happen at any point in the near future. Pam, do you probably still trust Google to deliver higher quality search results rather than other providers?
Yes and no. Yes, I do trust them more than other providers, but no, I don't trust them overall to do a good job at delivering that. I am still just so frustrated with my own personal searching when I'm searching for something that I want to know, how crappy the results are sometimes, how out of date. I mean, talking about the caffeine thing they've been supposedly working on for 5 years now, I just, this morning, Googling a couple things, I forget what it was, but just, I had to go and set the search tools and set the results time period to the past week or month, or they were topics that should have been recognized by Google as having recent happenings associated with them. So no, I don't really trust them to do a great job overall, but better than the other options that are out there. And speaking of the lines blurred between paid and organic, I don't know if I would call it lines blurred, but I found it interesting, the recent announcement that if you use location extensions in AdWords, your star rating can now show up. So it's just I guess more of a blending of the strategies of organic and paid actually coming literally together, which I found interesting.
Right, okay, yeah, but it's you never know with Google, though. They might actually include that within their search results this month, but next month they were just testing it, and they might take it away again, so there's no point in worrying too much about it there as well. Gareth, Richard, have you got any thoughts yourselves about the quality that Google are delivering in general search results at the moment? Are you fairly happy with that?
I think for me, if you compare it back to pre-Penguin, it's a revelation. I think people have forgotten how bad the results were about 4 or 5 years ago. You do a first page search for anything in financial services or anything in travel, there was a wall-to-wall affiliates with exact match domains or domains with loads of dashes in them. And I think Google did go down the right path of sort of giving more preference to brands and to sites that have, on the back of merit and on the back of good content and good links, ranking them higher. So I don't have a problem with it. But I know a lot of people are starting to use Bing. I know in America you guys use Bing a lot more than over here. But I don't know. I can't get on with that side of things.
I'm not one of those Americans.
Richard, you're sitting there just absorbing things. Are you a Binger?
I'm not a Binger. No, I think particularly in the UK, it's the older generation. To put it.
Americans in the older generation, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
He's wearing an Apple Watch. Do you really think he uses Bing?
Exactly.
Oh, well, interesting stuff. So I tell you what, moving on to the next subject, and that was Twitter wants to capture more personal data. They've added birthday balloons to your profile if you're celebrating a birthday. So is this just a gimmick, or is it an important data capture exercise? Pam, are you quite happy to add your birthday to Twitter?
No, when I first read that, my reaction was no reaction because I couldn't possibly care less. But I asked Matt Southern, who works for us, who does a lot of writing in this space, and he pointed out that it's likely data for advertisers that they're trying to get. So obviously that makes perfect sense. But really, personally, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, and I think most people using Twitter will realize that as well, because obviously it's a different type of audience than Facebook. So they may struggle with that one. I didn't feel any desire to go in there and put my date of birth in there to to get some balloons on my birthday. Maybe if they sent me a check, possibly I'd do that. But so Richard, you've got your Apple Watch on, or are you a tweeter and someone that would be quite comfortable giving their date of birth to Twitter?
I guess so. I mean, I think it's just a bit of a gimmick that they're trying to make it a bit for a wider audience. I guess I can see why people would want to do it. It's a nice touch, you know. You can show it off to your friends and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's the same as the other guys. Really, it doesn't really influence me either way. It's not going to give me an incentive to do anything different.
Wouldn't you get more birthday presents off people who follow you, though?
That's just such a stunning statement to make. So stunning that the screen froze there. So I guess we'll moving on to Alan. Are you an avid disclosure of your birthday online?
So do you want the answer that's going to make people happy, or the real answer that's probably going to scare people away?
I'm a bit scared of the real answer if it's scary, but let's go for that. I'm feeling risky.
Okay. So the real answer is it's a nice touch, but it's a data point. And they are a public company also with an advertising platform. You know, they're a social media platform. But here's one of the things you got to realize. Facebook partners with companies like Axiom and Datalogics, which are third-party data augmentation companies. They have been doing things for a very long time, since before the internet. We're talking, you know, mailing lists, those types of things. So what happened is if Twitter has your name, and Twitter has your email address, and now Twitter has your birthday, they have 3 pieces of data that they can try to match up to other data providers' data sets to get more information about you online. Basically cookie sharing, if you think about it in a way that people can understand. But for the most part, that's really what this is for. This is to get additional data into Twitter for advertisers and to bring in third-party data to further target you. I mean, if you guys want to be disgusted by how much information people know about you, go into Facebook advertising and go look at the psychographic targeting that you can do from Axiom, from Datalogics, from things that Facebook knows about you. They know if you're looking to buy a home. They know how much money you're worth. They know whether or not you're into investment properties, if you're a frequent internet buyer. They know how many credit cards you have. I mean, man, the stuff's scary. So just know that that's probably what that data point is used for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one thing that Facebook have done incredibly, certainly, gather all that information. It's not only your own personal information, it's also the relationships that you have with other people on there as well, and Twitter certainly is behind on that one there as well. So, I mean, Pam, do you have any further thoughts on that kind of quality focus in advertising that Facebook offer? Have you tried that at all, and have you tried Twitter advertising and seen the difference between them both?
We do a lot more Facebook advertising than Twitter. It's just we deal with mostly small businesses, and it's just more effective for their budget. But yeah, I mean the amount of data that's available is freaky. It's really freaky. They know. I mean, a lot of people are aware of the fact that if you start talking about something on Facebook and you're commenting on something about a certain topic. You know, I said the word yoga one time, and all of a sudden, yoga pants ads were all over the place. People are seeming to be aware of that effect, about if you talk about something on Facebook or you like a certain brand page on Facebook, you're going to start to see ads related to that. But what they're not aware of, and that is very real, is what he was just saying about the amount of data they have about you that has nothing to do with what you do on Facebook. It has to do everything to do with what you do off of Facebook, what else you do in your browser. So, you know, we can target ads to people who are about to get divorced because they've been researching divorce lawyers and they have not said a word about it on Facebook, but Facebook knows that about them, so we can target them with that information. And that kind of thing is, it's freaky and scary for the consumer. It's a beautiful thing for marketers, though. Kind of love it.
I mean, I guess the only
it is, and this isn't just digital either. I mean, it's print mail too. So when you think about it, I mean, they have your name and your email address. If you sign up for like a rewards piece, or you're in a retail store, you put it in a point of sale system. You know, they're able to link up with those companies too. You know, so I've seen some pretty targeted print advertising that would just blow your mind. And so there's a huge collusion between offline and online as well.
Stephanie Catcher on Twitter saying, heck yeah, let's talk psychographic targeting. I guess the only challenge that Facebook have got is the fact that everyone signs up with a personal email address, and maybe they might even have an old email address of people as well. And so maybe businesses have a greater challenge with being able to target people, because if they try and match their existing email address to Facebook users, then it means that it's I think I'm coming through Gareth Richards. If you could possibly mute me, that'd be great. Thanks. Okay. Okay. So what I was just going to say actually was more directed at Alan, and that was that with regards to Facebook, there's an incredible opportunity for B2C businesses, but perhaps not so much so for B2B. Do you think that is likely to change at any point in the future, or do you think Facebook is going to continue to have that challenge of being able to deliver targeted ads at the correct B2B consumers?
I think B2B is always going to be a struggle online. And the reason why B2B is always going to be a struggle online is because the bottom end of the market, sure, you can do small business owners, medium business owners. They're Googling, they're looking for things. You know, but as far as those large enterprise level B2B services, you know, any sort of contracts, yeah, they may find you online. They may find you on Facebook, but you really have to look at the intent of Facebook. Are people going there to be pestered with business ads? Not really. People are going there to talk with family. They're going there to talk with friends. You know, so you really got to understand the content. It would be really different if you used remarketing on Facebook for somebody who has already expressed interest in your products or services. It's just kind of like a branding piece or an iteration of getting your name in front of them. But as far as like a sort of outbound interruption type marketing, no. We've rarely seen success with it.
Okay, interesting. So retargeting is still a possibility, but reaching out for the first time, you'd pick somewhere else to advertise, maybe LinkedIn. Pam, have you tried LinkedIn advertising, or do you tend to focus more on the B2C side of things?
We have a good mix. We have a lot of B2B, a good mix of B2B and B2C, but a lot of B2B industrial manufacturing type companies that we work with, and we definitely have tried various things on LinkedIn advertising for them. The beautiful thing about it is you can get super targeted down to the exact decision maker that you need to reach at the other organization based upon their title and the type or size of company that they work for. We've even got one we're doing where they're targeting specific people who hold specific positions at specific company names. We're targeting literally like an exact person they want to get in front of. The challenge is that the volume is so low, so the targeting, being able to be super targeted is awesome, but for these small businesses going after these super targeted people, the audience size is just not very large, and so you're trying to catch those people when they happen to be on LinkedIn, and only a certain percentage of your total audience is going to be on when you're running your ads. So we've had a challenge getting enough volume out of it. One thing that's worked a little bit better is to run the new format of direct sponsored content on there as opposed to a straight up ad. Had a little bit better success than that because then it comes up in the feed, in the stream, instead of along the side and so on. So, but volume has still been a little bit of a challenge, but that's definitely the place to be for B2B.
Stephanie Catcher also saying, isn't this why so many of us have different email identities, trying to silo the personal data we share? How many email identities have you got, Alan?
I've got 2. I'll save you some time. If you don't want to be tracked, go download Ghostery, Ghostery, and go block everything, and it will really help. The biggest thing that you have to understand is any information that you give to a website or an application is all able to be cross-referenced if they are sharing the data. So your email, sure, is a point of reference. But if you have 5 different emails, the same first name, the same last name, the same birthday, and these guys from all these cookies can maybe see that you continually go to the same website or that you log into the same Facebook page, do you really think they're not going to know how many email addresses you have?
That's a great tip there. Yeah.
Guys, if you want your stuff to be blocked, go download Ghostery, block your stuff. Try to not put in so much personal information to websites, because big data is a buzzword that I hate, but in reality we are just creating so much data, and these mathematicians and these data scientists, they're figuring out ways to figure out who you are, and they're going to be producing it for marketing. And the other thing is and I'm not like an anarchist or somebody who's anti-government, but any of our government agencies are laughing because this is a dream come true for them. Seriously. Dream come true for marketers, dream come true for the government.
So, can I ask Alan a question?
Yeah, go for it.
A curiosity I have that's beyond my level of understanding, but you might be aware. How do you think the whole web-going HTTPS is going to impact the data that those companies can collect on browsing habits?
So that was direct to Alan, wasn't it?
Yeah. HTTPS is more or less a method of encrypting web traffic. But if you have a cookie and you're putting in content to a website, so this is Web 2.0, where you have dynamic websites, yeah, the HTTPS is encrypting what you're sending to and from those servers, but those companies still have that information about you because you put it in their website, and they have it in their databases. So that's where all the collusion happens on the back end. I mean, HTTPS is just a way to encrypt your web traffic. If you really want to get crazy, your VPN. But let's talk about something that's realistic. Quantum computing is going to be here in the next 5 to 10 years. And when quantum computing comes around, any encryption that we have is null and void. It gets decrypted like that. So, I mean, if you guys really want to worry about something from an HTTPS, worry about what country gets the quantum computer first.
Wow, okay.
Stephanie again saying on Twitter, let me rephrase Alan Morty. It's not a matter of hiding, but a matter of shaping the data profile you project.
Ding. Ding, ding, ding.
You get a ding, Stephanie. Gareth, I haven't heard from you for a little bit, so maybe that's why, because I'm actually hearing myself from again. Is there any way that you could put a headset in, maybe?
Hold on a minute.
Okay, wonderful. If you could possibly mute yourself in the meantime, that'd be superb. In the meantime, let's say that Meerkat have made friends with Facebook. A week after Facebook surveyed some of their users using their video viewing habits and opinions on video streaming. So now you can sign in and use Meerkat with your Facebook login. So is it still Periscope versus Meerkat, or is it really Twitter versus Facebook. Pam, are you a Periscoper, a Meerkatter, or none of the above?
I'm going to embarrass myself and say this is another one that I kind of care less about. When it comes to social, I pay a lot of attention if it's going to have some kind of impact on SEO, and the only possible way I can see this new trend impacting that is just simply being part of building up your overall presence so that when you do put content out, you have a bigger audience, and I just look at it as another tool in the toolbox for that, but honestly, I don't have too much interest in it. I don't really want to go live broadcasting every little thing that I do. My teenage daughter will probably be very excited to be able to do that, but from a marketing and business and SEO perspective, I haven't really paid all that much attention.
Alan, Stephanie says, thanks for the ding. I'll pass on that message, yeah, go between you. But, in relation to Periscope and Meerkat, are you interested or concerned by that, or Alan, or do you have a similar kind of feeling to Pam, is that at the moment you're not that concerned by either?
For social, it's all about users and retention. So obviously Facebook thought there was either A, some benefit to users, or B, some benefit to retention with Meerkat. Probably a plan to make money off it in the future. But for the most part, I mean, digital advertising, we can't get too hot to trot about these types of things. What we need to be good at is, having a high frequency of testing things. So when new stuff comes out with Meerkat, as you're able to work with it from a digital marketing perspective, to test and measure and suck less with it. And if it's something that it doesn't do well for you, move on to the next thing. But I think that's the more important lesson here as a digital marketer. Figure out what works, figure out what doesn't, do a reasonable amount of things at one time, and just continually have an iteration of trying to find new places to market and find what works. I think that's all this is.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, because it's so easy to view something new coming along as something shiny and interesting and something that's going to change the way you do business. But if it's not likely to be an active part of what you're doing, then what's the point in jumping on there? But if it is, test and learn to begin with, and see what kind of impact it has in your business, and move on from there. Gareth and Richard, have you tried Periscope and Meerkat? Got much opinion on that one?
Before we answer that, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can also hear myself, so I'm going to shut up for 30 seconds and let you talk.
Okay, you go.
I've only had dealings with Periscope mainly. I know Meerkat's making a lot of noise, and the fact that I think Twitter then sort of shut them out because they had Periscope on board, so the fact that there was a conflict of interest there. But I like Periscope. I haven't really investigated Meerkat too much, but they sound like quite interesting. I think the celebrities are making them more widely known as well, and that's an interesting thing for social, that the celebrities get a hold of these things and they tend to explode a bit more. But I think Periscope is probably the one that interests me the most. I like the fact that you can sort of see what celebrities are doing, things, and sort of live in their world a little bit. That was quite an interesting concept. But I don't know about Meerkat. I've not explored that one too much, so I'll have to give that one a go as well.
I think for me as well, Twitter's more instant. Twitter's more of a platform for instant gratification, whereas Facebook's probably more of a community thing. So. And more of an archive, so seeing as Periscope is live streaming, for me it seems to be the more natural platform for it.
Okay, great. If you could possibly mute again, that would be great. Wonderful. Yeah, it's interesting. Haven't tried Meerkat. I've tried Periscope. Done a few broadcasts, built up a few followers, but obviously you have to have a significant social footprint in other places and drive people towards Periscope from there. And unless you have that, then it's going to take a while to build up a big following there. So test and learn. But that just about takes us to the end of this week's show. So just time for a single takeaway and some sharing of find out more details from our guests. So starting off with Pam.
Oh, a single takeaway from the entire discussion? Well, I think that I don't know.
Surprised.
Yeah, I was totally caught off guard. I'm just always most fascinated by the data parts of the conversation. So, you know, the personal information. I know it wasn't on the original agenda, but the discussion that occurred about the tracking personal information is something that, you know, people likely be a little more aware of than they are. Actually, one of my followers just tweeted on the hashtag asking to repeat the tool that was mentioned, because that's a good takeaway. What was it? Ghostery?
Ghostery, Ghostery.
Okay.
If you go download it, it's a Chrome plugin. So if you're not using Chrome, get Chrome. But it shows up as a little ghost, and then it has like a little icon under it, and it tells you how many trackers or tags or a bunch of stuff are on the page. So you enable that, you go to MSN, you can see like the ridiculous amount of like 70 tags that they have and how many people they're sharing data with. So it'll blow your mind.
Well, that's a great takeaway. I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Great stuff. Okay, and so Pam, where can people find out more about you and what you do?
That would be at pamandmarketing.com, or any social media, Pam at twitter.com/pamandmarketing, Facebook, etc. And yeah, like I said, we just help a lot of small businesses with organic SEO and paid search. We're really focused on search engines, social ads too, but real focused on search engines, whether it be organic or paid. We don't really do other services other than that. We're laser focused.
Wonderful. Okay, and Gareth and Richard, what are your thoughts on perhaps one takeaway, and where can people find out more about you and what you do?
Our takeaway is check your internet connection before getting involved in webinars. You can find out more about us at libertymarketing.co.uk. Anyone got any questions on this stuff, we love to help.
Great. Okay, and Alan.
Yes, I'm Alan Morty. Takeaway here today. You know, I don't know if there's a single one. I'm more of an analytical person, so I like to, you know, think about everything. But for the most part, you know, the Twitter being more heavily shown in the search results, I think is something I'm going to watch, because, you know, us tech people judge our self-worth by our Twitter following, and and so I'll definitely be interested in that. But for the most part, you can find me on Twitter at Alan, that's ALAN, and then my last name, Morty, MORTE. And you can also reach us at 3 Ventures, that's THREE Ventures, VENTURES.com. We are pretty heavily involved in strategy, marketing, design, and analytics online.
And at the moment, Alan has a value of 5,625.
Dang.
Great stuff. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, if anybody's going to MozCon, anybody out there going to MozCon, come say hi to me, tweet me. I'll be there tomorrow through Wednesday night.
Great. Okay. Well, yeah, make sure you do that. And also, I'm David Bain, head of growth here at analyticsseo.com, and you can also catch me interviewing online marketing gurus over at digitalmarketingradio.com. Now, if you're watching the show as a recording, remember to watch the next episode live. So head over to thisweekinorganic.com and sign up to watch the next show in real time. For those of you watching live and tweeting live, we're also broadcast as a video podcast on iTunes. So go directly to the show there at thisweekinorganic.com/iTunes, and remember to continue sharing your thoughts using the hashtag TWIO on Twitter, so just the 4 letters TWIO. But until then, have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining us, and adios. Cheers everyone, thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you.